Hey, what's happening, guys? Welcome to another podcast. Today we'll talk about The Amazing Spider-Man 3, the script, the writers, what chances it has actually to fail, or perhaps it will be actually a good film. And I'm joined by two of my subscribers, Adam. Hello, Adam.
Hello.
Josh.
Hi.
What's going on, everybody?
All right. So let's just before I will make sort of a weird introduction. I will ask you guys your favorite Spider-Man film, just to make things clear. Adam,
The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
uh, you're being honest, right?
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right, sweet
100%.
Josh.
I'm being entirely honest in saying The Amazing Spider-Man 2 also.
Spider-Man 2, Sam Raimi Spider-Man 2, and The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Let's say both of these films are my favorite Spider-Man films. So let me first mention that The Amazing Spider-Man 3, the writers, Alex Kurtzman and Roberto Orci, the same writers are back writing The Amazing Spider-Man 3. And they are joined by, I think, Josh Pinkman. So,
Yeah.
before we start, let me just say something interesting. I came across one interesting interview at HuffingtonPost.com. Mark Webb actually mentioned something interesting there. But first of all, the reviews. What's your guys' take? What do you think about all the negative reviews? Why is that?
Well, I think it has a lot to do with the cuts from the trailers.
Yep.
Like, compared to the actual movies, there was a lot of crucial things like missing, and there was a lot of, you know, scenes that didn't really live up to the hype
Yeah,
of
yeah.
the movie.
In my opinion, I feel like this movie is heavy on personal preference. A lot of people were hating on the romance. A lot of people liked it. A lot of people didn't like how Jamie Foxx's Electro didn't take a more prominent role when, in fact, Electro to me isn't a huge prominent role. He's more or less a henchman or a tool to be used.
Yep.
So it's sort of you kind of have to like it. You kind of have to, if that's your thing. I loved it because I thought everything was done well, and I loved the romance. And I know the romance turned a lot of people off. But just like Adam said with the missing scenes, I know that, and scenes cut from the trailers, that can obviously be frustrating. So yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah, as you mentioned, there's some people hate it, some people love it. A lot of people actually are comparing it to Man of Steel. Like fans love this film,
Oh yeah.
and critics really
Hmm.
bashed it. I mean, check out the Rotten score. Whatever score is there, 55 currently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so far, fortunately, unfortunately, that's the worst score for a Spider-Man film.
Oh, yeah, I completely agree.
Getting back to what I mentioned previously, now I'm gonna mention my take on why I think there were so many negative reviews. Here's something, an interview with Mark Webb. Interesting enough, Mark Webb explained how they actually came up with this script. Quote, the whole movie was reversed engineered from the ending. All these characters, if we were just to have Goblin in the movie, people would think they would know what the ending is going to be. So we didn't want to lead with that. Electro is such a powerful cinematic villain. The storyline of a character is actually a direct reflection of Peter Parker. They knew Gwen Stacy is going to die in this film. So they reversed engineered. They wrote the script from the ending. In my opinion, that was really a failure in terms of that's not how you really approach this story.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like mentioning that the Amazing Spider-Man 2 doesn't really have a plot. Basically, all these scenes, different scenes, made up in one film. There's no decent plot.
I kind of agree with you. It's not really a good thing. I mean, you want to start the movie from the very start.
Yep.
You don't want to go from like the very end. It's yeah, I completely agree.
I also agree. You can really sense that it feels inorganic in that way that
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah, exactly.
were trying to, yeah, you're trying to build up to that. And it's sort of like, I feel like this series is focusing a whole lot on plot points. Like, we have the origin, and now we have the death of Gwen Stacy, and now we have a Venom movie coming up, a Sinister Six plot that's sort of unfolding. It's sort of like there's very little time for what's the word I'm looking for just light-hearted moments, for very just because it's not all. I understand what they're doing, but I feel like we could use a little bit of a break or just a letdown, just
Yep, yep.
ease into what the future holds. But yeah, as far as the Gwen Stacy thing goes, they shouldn't have done that.
Well, great
Felt
thing.
very inorganic.
Yeah, great thing you mentioned. Building up for Sinister Six. I've been reading reviews. Most of them, basically, the complaints are they share in common. One complaint is that not only things seem to be a little bit rushed, they threw so many things in this film. It felt like a teaser trailer
Yes.
for a Sinister Six. Not really,
Yes, it felt
not
like a prequel for
yeah,
Sinister
yeah,
Six.
exactly. Not really a separate Spider-Man film, you know. That's why I really
Yeah,
loved Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. We had just Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2, you know. We had Goblin in Spider-Man 1. One villain formula really works.
yeah,
Take for example, you know, Marvel Cinematic Universe. How they managed to build up to the Avengers. You know, they were teasing everything there in the post-credit scene. Iron Man 2, you know, Captain America, great films.
yeah.
They are focusing around one character. One character faces one villain there, you know, two villains, whatever, and then there's post-credit scene. I think that's the main reason of the post-credit scene, to tease what's next to come. Not throwing everything in one film, just like they did in the Amazing Spider-Man 2. You know, there's Felicia
Right,
Hardy.
right.
There's Felicia Hardy. She's just there. Nothing about her. She doesn't do
Yeah,
anything. She's just Felicia there.
exactly. She's just there, just as a name, basically. Like, oh, she's there. That's
Yeah,
it.
well, they are expanding the universe. They are trying to let us know, but why throwing everything into one film? Why can't they just use the post-credit scene for that?
Yeah, they should really
Um,
just pace themselves.
Yep,
I think that this movie though is taking a bullet for like the franchise, but I feel like it set like the floor. Like I know in a lot of movies, like um, it will like set the floor a little bit and then it'll raise the frame, and but this one took the time to just sort of create the entire just like base of what it's gonna be, although it didn't execute it perfectly like I wish it would have. But I feel like now it's gonna be easier for them to flow a little bit. That's what I mean by this movie taking the bullet, is it's sort of their way of making it easier for the plots to just flow now. That's sort of how I feel. But I wish it would have been done better. But still, like this still is our second attempt at a Spider-Man franchise, so I'm trying to be lenient with it, and I love it all the same. But yeah, that's how I feel.
well, one thing also, you guys are aware about the post-credits, the credits teaser, right? With Doc
Oh
Ock's
yeah.
arms. Now, one of the main complaints about the Amazing Spider-Man 2 was that Electro and Green Goblin, both of them were rushed pretty much. There was supposed to be a scene with Max Dillon and his mom, you know,
Yeah,
and then there was supposed to be a scene with Harry Osborn explaining to Peter Parker that his dad spent more time with him than with himself. You know, that scene would give certainly a better character development for Harry Osborn. But they cut this scene. That's ridiculous. They cut so many scenes from the trailers.
Yeah, they really should have like properly done it, and not cut out so many, crucial scenes that you need in that movie.
Yeah, and now the Amazing Spider-Man 3 is supposed to have Rhino, Doc Ock, Vulture, Green Goblin, and there's a mask, either Chameleon or Mysterio. Freaking 5 villains. I mean, it will be really tough to give all the villains, you know, proper character development, especially Doc Ock. I'm really worried about Doc Ock. He's supposed to be, well, originally he
yes,
was the leader of the Sinister Six. He
yes.
formed the Sinister Six
Yeah,
after he was defeated by Spider-Man like 3 times in a row. Are they going to make Doc Ock another sidekick? I mean, fans will seriously destroy this film in this case, right?
exactly. It'll
Yes.
just be like another Spider-Man 3. Like it'll just be a flop.
Yep, and the filming starts in October, so they have like 5 months or
Yeah, to get a story
to get
together.
this story together. And I think, do you guys think that the negative reviews, might actually affect the final script?
It depends on whether they're actually properly reading the reviews or not, but I reckon they
I'm
should
pretty sure.
really take
I'm
it.
pretty sure they are. I mean, Eric mentioned that he's been reading superhero hype forums, for example, and
Yeah.
he knows everything. They go online, they read stuff. I mean, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, negative feedback will always like help change like what they should do in future movies.
I don't
So
think it'll change like drastically though. I feel
yeah,
like they might switch just a little bit depending upon what the fans are saying, but just in small little touches. So
yeah. It
just
seems
clean
like they
up.
already have their heart set on what they already want.
Yeah,
Also depends really what Sony's real goal. You know, is it money or is it satisfying fans? Really.
yeah,
Yeah.
If
exactly.
it's money, you know, they will throw a bunch of villains once again. It will be, and seriously, it might be a mess, really. I mean, Dark Ark,
Yeah,
Vulture, everyone in one film. If they will bring Peter's parents' flashback scenes again, this will be seriously a mess. I mean, we had
it will
enough.
be.
I think we had enough of
Of
Peter's
the
parents'
origin
story,
story,
of the
yeah.
origin story. Let's just move on. Seriously, we can no, maybe Richard Parker is alive, whatever. We don't really care at this point. We need a decent
Exactly.
Spider-Man film without the freaking parents' story
Yes.
again,
Yeah.
please.
That's why I'm worried too, is because this is supposed to be Peter's overcoming his like anguish of Gwen's death, and I feel like now we have to cross that bridge because Gwen is now gone, and now he has to get over this. So I feel like that's another thing that's sort of holding back back, I guess. I'm
Well,
worried
yeah.
about how much time they're going to spend on that, but
Yeah, I mean, hopefully the Amazing Spider-Man 3 won't start with Gwen's speech recording. I mean, please not again, you know.
Yeah.
yeah.
They went this same road they did with the Uncle Ben's message recording. Peter listened to it. It inspired him by the end of the hill, and he's back as Spider-Man.
Right.
That was a little bit cheesy. Also, guys, I'm really curious about what things you really didn't like about the Amazing Spider-Man. To Adam,
The one thing I really, really didn't like is Electro, the way they didn't give him enough like story and
yeah, well,
not basically making
he was mad like Spider-Man didn't remember his name, and then he goes
yeah,
nuts, right?
that's all like it was just basically Electro wanting revenge. Like it wasn't anything else.
I feel the exact same way, and I feel like Jamie Foxx's Electro didn't like. I wanted to love him so much. I wanted to think he was the best Electro, but there were certain parts that just took me out. Like when they're in the office with Mencken and Harry Osborn is there, and
Yeah.
there's just a scene where he says, where Harry's like, "Am I right?" And Jamie Foxx is right as rain, and I'm thinking like, "Oh, that's Jamie Foxx. That's not Electro. You're selling me lies." It's just, it just clicked. Yeah.
Anything else about rushing other characters or perhaps?
I feel like I don't. I would have liked to see. I'm the only person I swear on the earth that liked Rhino. Everybody's. I don't know why. I'm not sure if this is just a
No,
connection I made
I
with
really
childhood
enjoyed it.
Rhino, but I think Paul Giamatti he clicked with me. I thought I was watching Rhino,
Yeah, people
but
are
I'm
like
like,
complaining like cheesy, but hey, Rhino is supposed to be cheesy, right? He's
he's
just a
supposed. Yeah, and they
he's
took out a lot of
just a
cheesiness that he.
stupid guy
Yeah.
crashing through the walls. That's what he was in the comics, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would have liked to see more of that, but I wish this movie would have been longer. I mean, The Dark Knight Rises, which is a horrible example. I'm not a big fan of The Dark Knight Rises, but it was 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Right.
This was 2 hours and 22 minutes. I feel like they could have tacked some more time on there. That's my personal opinion. Added some of those scenes
Yeah.
that were cut.
Yeah, it's also nice to mention in the interview I'm reading currently, Mark Webb mentions, well, kind of mentions that Electro was used more of a as a distraction. He said, he's been saying for a year, Electro is main villain, keep an eye for Electro, but really, he mentioned that it was just a distraction for Gwen's death. They wanted to
Yeah.
cover it really badly. And I've also got a really weird feeling right now that back in November, if you guys were following me, do you remember the storyboard leaks?
Yeah.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
yes.
The storyboards showed us Harry Osborn transforming into Green Goblin. I'm wondering if there wouldn't be such leak, will they actually would they actually show us Green Goblin in the trailer? Maybe it was supposed to be a surprise, no?
I think so. Because I remember Venom 2 Million put out a video on that, and it got taken off, like, immediately.
Yeah, my video got taken off as well, and Comic Book Cast too, Armin,
Yeah, that's...
as well.
So that instantly shows that was, like, they feared that. They didn't want that getting out there. So I think that totally could have.
And another complaint really what I'm worried about in terms of the Amazing Spider-Man 3, they showed the whole movie in the trailers, really.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
are they going to learn something? Back in with the Amazing Spider-Man 1, they showed the Man in the Shadows prison scene in the trailer as well. They showed the freaking post-credit scene in the trailer. I mean, Marvel isn't doing that really. I mean, why would you do it really? To bring more people to see the film? They're supposed to be surprised.
Yeah, exactly. Like when I go to a movie, I want to be surprised. I don't want to know what's already happening, but I don't know. It's strange what they did. It was really strange.
And in the Amazing Spider-Man 1 trailer, you do see the tower falling. So, like,
Yeah,
as you know who's web swinging to the tower, you know that it's going to... I don't know, like... And I thought they were going to redeem themselves with Amazing Spider-Man 2, like, because they did all that in the first trailer. They gave it away, like, in the first movie. I thought that they would make that better. I don't know. I'm going to try and stray away from previews from now
Yeah.
as far as Sony goes, but...
I wish I could really, but my trailer breakdowns, I have
Derek
to.
requires it.
Yeah,
I'll probably end up
that's my
watching Meat 7,
sacrifice. That's my sacrifice, really. I was sitting in the theater. I was like, freaking hell! I've seen this film already. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I expect for Gwen's death, which really struck me, even though I knew it was going to happen. Most of I was like, I've seen this film already. But then again, general audience, they haven't been analyzing every single bit of the trailers, so maybe they were
Exactly,
surprised. That's the main goal. That's they are making these films for general audience, I believe, not really for as much for fans, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Alberto Orci, Alex Kurtzman, the writers of Star Trek, I believe, Into Darkness, they are back. And also they wrote the Transformers, I think the second one. So are you guys worried about same writers, same stuff, rushing things?
It really depends. Like if they can do it well, I don't know. I didn't really have any problems like with some of the stuff, but I guess we just have to wait and see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree. I agree.
I think they should really stick with the formula. I think you guys might disagree with me, but Spidey versus one villain.
Yeah.
I think that could really
Yeah,
work. I mean, Norman Osborn, Chris Cooper, brilliant actor. He could seriously, The Amazing Spider-Man 4
Yes.
should be about Spider-Man facing
yeah,
Green Goblin, whatever he will become. You guys are aware about Norman Osborn's head, right?
yeah. Oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
I shared a theory that perhaps he will use Lizard's serum and he will regrow his body and he will become the ultimate Green Goblin.
yeah,
And then whatever happens there, maybe they will actually kill Peter Parker off. Even though it's unlikely, really. But
Right.
people really believe that they might actually kill Peter Parker eventually. But Avi Arad said that every single reboot, future reboots, will focus around Peter Parker only. So no Miles Morales, anybody else there, only Peter Parker.
Well, I guess that's good because everyone loves Peter Parker, right? So
Well,
maybe in the future there'll be something.
I wouldn't mind
Maybe.
really seeing Miles Morales spin-off series.
Yeah, it'll be different. It'll be really cool, but it'll be different.
But I feel like that's a road to cross when we get like the definitive
Yeah.
Peter Parker story. Like once that's like perfected, then I would feel safe with going on over to other Spider-Mans. But I love Peter. I just want to see him done well on the big screen first.
Yeah.
Which, as far as the Amazing Spider-Man franchise goes, I feel like they're doing a very solid job, but it
Yeah,
still
I
has
think
yet
so
to
too.
be perfected.
Another thing I'm really worried about is that they killed Gwen Stacy and they got rid of Emma Stone. Even the most harsh critics, there's one thing they point out that was actually good was the relationship between Andrew and Emma. Now that's gone. So what now really? This was the highlight of the franchise, right? Peter Parker,
Oh
Gwen
yeah.
Stacy.
Yeah. Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield, like their chemistry like in the movie was so great, and you can see that how much they actually really cared for each other.
Yeah,
But
and now that whoever will play Mary Jane Watson, I'm pretty sure it won't be really the same relationship we've seen between
yeah.
Emma and Peter Parker. Josh, what do you think about it?
Like I said earlier, like this movie is going to be having a lot of baggage as far as that goes because Peter's trying to overcome that. So I still feel like we're going to get like the vibe as if Emma Stone is still there. Like, you know what I'm saying? But as far as Mary Jane, I loved Emma and Andrew. Like they killed it. I don't know what's going to happen, and that's one of my biggest fears is that Mary Jane's going to come on and it's just going to be a train wreck because you're like, I don't believe this.
It might be a train wreck if they will they will introduce Felicia Hardy will appear and they will form this flirting relationship with Peter Parker,
Yeah.
and then there's Mary Jane Watson
Yeah.
and a freaking love triangle. It will be
Oh,
another
no.
mess, really.
There are
Yeah.
so many characters that are already like.
yeah. Now that
It's crazy.
they throw everything there in the Amazing Spider-Man 2, now they have to tie it up into one story.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
oh
One
gosh.
movie.
That's really risky. That's why I'm
Huh.
Felicia Hardy. And also, I mean, Electro caused Spidey lots of troubles. Now there's freaking 5 villains. I mean, how Spidey is going to deal with them? Probably he's going to have a partner. They're expanding Spider-Man's universe. They're following Marvel roads with the Avengers. The Sinister Six will probably be a sort of a dark Avengers film,
Yeah.
focusing around villains.
Right.
And Mark Webb mentioned that it's going to be a redemption film. So basically, Spidey will defeat all of them in the Amazing Spider-Man 3, and then they're back, and it's redemption. So
I think they should really, really bring the symbiote suit.
yeah,
Like,
that's. I mean, Peter
really.
Parker is currently really. I mean, his state of
Yeah.
mind. He's pretty much depressed. He's angry. He's anxious.
Exactly.
So introducing
He wants
symbiote.
to get revenge.
I would love it, but like we said earlier, there are so many like characters in the works right now. Like
Yeah.
I think that they should put him to the forefront, not Venom himself, but the symbiote. I feel like that
Yeah, that's
needs
yeah.
to be needs to come now, or else it's not going to be believable because this is his time of anguish, like you said. This is the time that it needs to be. And in the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon, it's a weird coincidence that he does defeat the Sinister Six his first time
Yeah,
with
wearing
the
a black
symbiote.
suit. Yeah, wearing a black suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that would make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah,
I think.
that's actually another dead end. Here's why. I mean, after all the negative reviews, I imagine people seeing black suit on the Amazing Spider-Man 3 posters reminding them of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3. I mean, there will be like
Oh yeah.
no way. Once again, they're going with the black suit. They have to do it
Yeah.
differently somehow.
Gosh
Um,
dang.
Imagine all the promotional campaign for the Amazing Spider-Man showing Andrew wearing black suit. I mean,
The
Yeah.
people
memes.
will start destroying this film before it will actually hit theaters, comparing it
Yeah.
to Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3. There's no freaking way out really for Amazing
yeah.
Spider-Man 3.
Well, I think it's also like the design of the black suit as well, which would have a big impact because in Sam Raimi's, like, it basically looked like the very same Spider-Man suit, just basically
Yeah,
black.
they wanted to go with the original suit actually,
Yeah.
the classic
So
suit, the black suit, the classic suit
yeah,
with the white logo.
yeah.
But then,
So
yeah.
I think they should bring something like that into it or something. I don't know.
Right. So, guys, final verdict. Adam, what's
Yeah.
what's what's uh, what's the thing you worried about the most in the Amazing Spider-Man 3?
It's basically what we've been talking about, just all the villains, everything going on. Like I'm not quite sure on how they're going to be able to fit all that into one movie. Like it's going to be a lot. It could be very bad.
Like Adam said, it's going to be very crowded, and if they choose to spread it out a lot, they're gonna have to put more movies in, and Andrew's getting old, and they're between a rock and a hard place right now. But I have faith that they could pull this through.
Final question, just really curious. If Spidey will ever go back to Marvel, what's the take? How do you think Marvel will approach Spider-Man films? Will they do
Uh,
the origin like third time, or they will actually continue? Or we just start with Spider-Man being Spider-Man?
I guess like if they go back to Marvel, like they could do them very very well. They could start off again, or they could keep on building from what they already have now. It's tough to think about.
I think they would have to reboot it, but I think it would be when Spider-Man is sort of how I've brought up Spectacular Spider-Man 30 times right now, but it is a fantastic series, and just like how they introduced him and he was already Spider-Man, he was already killing it. So I think that would be how they would do it, and I think Marvel would do a really good job. But I like Sony also. I love Spider-Man. That's that's what I like.
I just really want to see him in the Avengers.
That's amen.
But that's probably unlikely, at least for now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Spider-Man among with James Bond franchise is Sony's biggest cash machine currently. No
Yeah.
way they're selling it unless it will fail completely. I mean, if the Amazing Spider-Man 3 will fail, I'm pretty sure it will actually go back to Marvel.
Yeah.
Alright guys, as you can see, there are some things we're really worried about the Amazing Spider-Man 3, and we have reasons to be worried about. We've got same writers, we've got even more villains, and it requires even more character development. The filming starts in October. Let's see how things will turn out. Adam, do you have a YouTube channel or something else to share with?
No, I just really make music on SoundCloud, so you
SoundCloud.
can
That's I will put
check
the link
that
in
out.
the description box. All right.
Yep.
And
Cool.
Josh.
They could follow me on Instagram at Joshua Reedhead.
All right. Thank you,
I
guys.
post a lot of Spidey news, and I try to keep my followers in the loop.
That's great. All right, guys. Thank you for joining. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. See you later. Bye.